What do you do to get rid of stress? But if I could kill myself for a year, if I could, I'd do it today. If I could kill myself today and be dead until like 18 months from now, I would do it. But alas, when you kill yourself you're dead forever. And we shouldn't be dead forever, yet, so let's not, right? Come on guys. Bo Burnham. Cardio helps me a lot. Dealing with stress on situations that bring me down, I throw some old clothes on, put on music that fits my mood and go through the situations in my head while I run. You don't even have to run. You can walk. The situations aren't resolved by the time I'm done, but I'm in a much better mindset and feel better. And just to reiterate the opposite here, sitting on the couch because you don't feel up to it, or are too tired is the vicious cycle in which only further contributes to your tiredness, depression, physical discomfort, and lack of motivation. Lift yourself from the spell. No one is going to do it for you. Exercise. The problem I have is that generally I'm only ever stressed about shit I know there's nothing to be stressed about, like a fucking dentist appointment. I am perfectly aware there's nothing to be afraid of, and that when I am there I am perfectly comfortable. Still, inexplicably the day before it stresses me out. I only get stressed about the most stupid shit imaginable. I ask for my grandkids for the day. Those children crack me up, and they keep me so busy, there isn't time to think, let alone take a peel. Edit. Thank you for the awards. I'd like to say thanks to my grandbabes and I owe it all to them, the little awards. If you are ever stressed out and get a chance to hang with some little kids, do it. Simply have a conversation with them. They will have a laughing in no time. Kids are greater and it's good reminder not to take anything so seriously. I love playing a lot of different games online, but one thing I have noticed is that, depending on the game and group, kids are frequently more friendly, willing to learn, and a lot of times they have patience that the elitists don't. I'm sure I will be called a beta like I have before, but I honestly prefer to play with younger kids online because they are often the most thrilled when we can successfully clear a stage/encounter, and they are usually the most casual in the way they play. Goofing off in a custom lobby, in almost any game, with the younger kids who don't take it seriously is a lot of fun. I have taught the Leviathan to multiple groups of 12-year-olds, and each time the lobby would be filled with cheering/screeching when we complete it. Lol. I crochet while listening to an audiobook. That way my hands are busy and my brain is focused on one thing. It just quiets everything in my head when it gets too loud. Creating something helps because I get something good at the end of my efforts, whereas if I just sat and stressed myself out I'd achieve nothing but making myself sick. I have lots of restless energy when I'm stressed, so crochet has been a lifesaver. Once I get the hang of my pattern I don't need to think about what I'm doing. I just sort of zone out and my hands know what to do. When I'm done I always find the stress is barely noticeable or completely gone because a solution has come to me while my brain hasn't been busy calculating every single way things could go wrong, or I've realized it isn't anything to be worrying about. Back when I was dealing with some stuff, I used to drive around town a lot with the music turned up. No destination, just exploring new roads. I usually played the album Immersion by Pendulum on the radio. It's kinda hard to listen to it now because it brings back memories I'd prefer to forget. However, it helps to remember that that album was part of the solution rather than the problem. Take a walk and think about what's stressing me. It seems counterintuitive to think about the very thing that's causing stress, but for me it helps to understand why I'm stressed and what I can realistically do about it. Let's say that I'm stressed about an interview. I like to walk through the steps and create a short plan on what to say if I'm asked X question. Sometimes I can't do anything, and so I try to realize that I don't have to be so stressed because the situation isn't as bad as I originally thought. The key part is to do a task while you think about what's stressing you, like taking a walk. If you just sit in your bed you will at worst get more stressed and at best still be stressed. This doesn't work for everyone as everyone has different ways to calm down, but for me it works wonders. Spend time with animals. I have these sweet trats that are so excited to see me every day and love to hang out with me while I chill on the couch. They love scritches and pretty much any food that I offer them. Rats can have a lot of human food in small portions, even chocolate, though typically fruits and veggies are healthier for them. Their happiness at everything rubs off on me and the stress melts away. Old my kebab. Most of my life I had positive approach to life. The older you get, the easier it is. My best advice to friends is, what's the point to stress? Worry won't resolve anything. Different people deal with situations differently and everyone has different stress tolerance. Some people get into state to get shit done, so there is healthy stress, if we can call it. Smile. Gym is my sanctuary. I find myself with zero thoughts. Update, whatever it is. It already happened. Think of solution and things that would help you to overcome it. Make situation better. Don't waste energy stressing about it. Not talking about deep dramas. Right now cosplaying on TikTok helps a lot. I don't care how cringy it is. That app kept me sane through 2020 and most of 2021. I've even expanded my cosplays now. Just started doing Pamela Voorhees in the goth version of Marilyn Monster. Music helps too. Barry Manilow has this album called 2 AM Paradise Cafe. When things are really bad, I just lock myself in my room, put it on, and let it play all the way through to the end. Sometimes I end up so relaxed I fall asleep while it plays and wake up feeling much better. Practice mindfulness. Does it eliminate the stress? No, but it's a coping mechanism. I step back from the stress and ask myself, what about it bothers me? And I take the chance to really absorb it as a very human function. Don't let it own you while it's there. Just spend your time with the stress and really feel it. Analyze it. Think about how it feels in your gut. What physiological effects is it giving you? Your central nervous system is responding to ideas in your brain. What is it that is really bugging you and causing you that stress? And why does it do what it does to you? Then, what does a more healthy you look like? What stands between where you are and a you that isn't stressed out? A lot of the time, once you really think about your stress, rather than just letting it take the wheel, at least personally I find I'm in a position where I could ostensibly try and willpower my way out of whatever funk I'm in. Oftentimes though, I don't actually want to, because whatever stress I have is there for a reason and I want to think about those reasons, however stressful, and learn what I need to learn from them. That part though is not easy, because quite frankly you're in a fight with your brain as to whether you want to exist within the confines of your stress or whether you want to exist outside of it and see it for what it is, your thoughts needing management. And remember, this isn't something that you will do immediately. You might feel like you have an issue handled and it tried back at you later as though you never gave it the thought. It can be demoralizing, but that mindfulness that got you through it the first time will get you through it the next times too, and the same lessons you repeat to yourself, you will internalize and you will be able to remind yourself of them when you need it. Not sure who is sorting by new, but I hope this helps somebody out there. Personally, there are two categories of stress for me: problems that need solving, and things out of my control. Things that are out of my control, doing something that makes me feel in control and soothes me helps. For me that is working out, taking a long walk, meditating, working out and taking a bath helps. For things that are within my control, spending time alone to think and journal helps a ton. Had my boss asked me that when I was working at a restaurant. I told him that I kill people and enjoy it. He looked at me horrified. Then I explained that I play airsoft, so every weekend I go to a game to dump my magazines at the enemy, run around in the forest and stab people with my bayonet. That relieved my stress accumulated during the week from the annoying customers and the service. When I showed him my loadout, he said that he'll keep in mind to not stress me too much so I don't start killing for real. I write research papers and essays on interesting topics. It fascinates me and forces me to focus in order to create a work that is coherent and interesting, which then allows me to feel a sense of accomplishment in something that I produced. I think stress often stems from a lack of accomplishment, because that is essentially why we stress so often. There is something that needs to be done and we don't know how or when to do it. Of course, this only works if you are interested in learning about abstract topics and putting ideas together in a form of a paper, which, you'd be surprised, is more common than one would think. I have a ritual where I visit a beach that's near my home. During my way there I gaze at the surrounding nature while focusing on my breath. Once I arrive, I just lay down on the sand, take deep breaths and occasionally close my eyes. This really helps clearing my mind and calming me down. I don't have to think about anything. I just breathe and focus on the sounds I hear. After my 10-30-minute session, my mind is completely pure, optimistic, all the mental functions work properly and I feel a high that lasts up to half an hour. If I've had a really bad day, then playing single-player GTA helps. I whack a few cheats on, then either blow up everything I see or get creative with trick shots. Another bonus of GTA is the vast amount of differing NPCs, so if a specific person has been the source of my stress, I search out NPCs who look like them, and then again I get creative with how I kill them. Other days I'll play Factorio or some other puzzly type game, as I can quickly get lost in the game working out what I need to do and so forget about the day. Meditation. Wash face. Get 5-10 minutes alone for myself, and just sit down to analyze where it comes from and how to deal with it. Ask if that will matter in 5 years. If it doesn't, I just mentally label it as it is what it is. Some days be like that. I will do the best I can, and that's all to be done. So yeah, and do some breathing exercise to calm and move on. I repeat that thought in my mind if I feel it coming again. Take a walk in nature or play with my dog. He is my best stress relief medicine. D. Edit. Fixing typo frown. To get rid of stress I do multiple things. Game. Always feels good to game with the boys. Exercise with music. It's good for your health and the music motivates you to forget the stress. Go out downtown with friends. What a feeling when you go get French tacos with your friends, and after that go explore the city. Make memories. Generally speaking, be with someone reduces anxiety and stress. Go out with your motorcycle, or your normal bike. Great choice to take your bike and go explore spots that you wouldn't have explored without a motorcycle, bike. Skate. Very good choice to have adrenaline and just chill. And last but not least, eating. Oh, what a great thing to eat good food with the people you love, to just relax and think about how life is good with food. Name. Honorable mentions: watch YouTube, look at memes, play Forza Horizon, Microsoft Flight Simulator, talk to girlfriend, boyfriend or crush. These are my ways of just chilling and forget about stress. That means the final fucking exams called brevet day colleges that I passed with 1720 on average. And if you're concerned about not finding things to divert your attention from stress, don't worry, you'll find some at one point. Smile. I don't give a singular shit about most things. This gives me a high resistance to stress-inducing things such as making stupid mistakes, setting up for something, being near failure, and appeasing people. This isn't optimal because getting yourself to do something is a chore, but you want to avoid stress at all costs. This is a good option. Ask yourself and identify the answer to these 3 questions. What's the worst that can happen, and what realistic measure can you take to avoid or minimize that scenario? What is the best thing you can do right now about it? What other stuff is there for you to do right now? Take out the trash. Read, work, organize your schedule, focus on actionable aspects instead of overthinking it. In books I would say Games of Thrones, Brandon Sanderson Mistborn Collection, The Choices of Shadow by Brant Weeks, Joe Abercrombie Serving Cold, Orson Scott Card The Ender Strategy. For example, I would also recommend books of Machiavel on politics and on the Romans, Carthaginians Wars, very interesting. In games, I am replaying Pillars of Eternity, which is a great RPG like Baldur's Gate. I played the Cold Steel series. It's a JRPG, very different but strong characters and story. I also play Door Kickers. It has a very tactical game like SWAT games. Well, there is a lot. Play video games. After a hard day's work, it's great to tune in to something engaging that I enjoy. Mind you, video games will not make you feel better if you have obligations and are putting them off. You'll just be more stressed from feeling guilty. If it's stress from regular day-to-day life and work, I think it's the best. A bit of marijuana in the mix never hurts too. I play a large variety, to be honest. Right now I am enjoying playing MLB The Show 21. Lets me fill the void of playing competitive baseball. Other than that, I really like RPGs, open world, and/or narrative-heavy games. Red Dead Redemption 2, God of War, 2018, Ghost of Tsushima, just to name a recent few. Stardew Valley is a very wholesome game that is fun and relaxing as well. Epic History TV, Kings and Generals, History Marsh, Binging with Babish, Joshua Weissman, You Suck at Cooking, Gordon Ramsay, Rhett and Link, Randy Santel, Townsend's, Hot Ones, French Cooking Academy, Alex French Guy Cooking, Maximilian Dude, J. Kanji Lopez Alt, and anything whose line is it anyway? Honestly, it sounds so simple, but I use a notepad and pen to just write everything down that I have to do. Once it's down on paper, you can't forget it, and it gives me so much perspective that I don't have that much to get done. I think a to-do list rattling around your mind is so much louder than it being sat on paper. I go to the gun range. There's an range not far from my office, and whenever I'm having a really bad day I go there, rent of their 1911s for half an hour, and send a box of ammo down range. Best way to spend a lunch break. If I've had a bad week, I take one or two of my own to an outdoor range out in the county and spend the day punching holes in paper. I feel much better afterward. Fishing. I don't go out with the intent of catching really. I bring 2 Coors Lights and then head to the water with a book. I put out a line that sits with bait on it, and then I bring a rod to actively fish a lure with. I'll drink my beer and fish around and keep an eye on my bait rod. When I want to read, I'll sit next to my bait rod and just wait until something exciting happens. I just crashed the Hobbit and I'm halfway through the first Lotra book. After I get through all 3, I'll tackle Dune. Might audiobook it though. I have been stressed for years. Nothing's ever really worked to help. Relaxing music with distinct rhythm. Liquid drum and bass usually chills me out temporarily. I tried THC for the first time earlier this year and it's been one of the best things I've ever done. If interested, I definitely recommend Delta 8 THC. It's not as potent as D9, but it's federally legal if you're from the US for the time being. Will still show up as THC on drug tests. And if smoking, vaping, isn't your thing, there are edibles or straight-up capsules which are great too. You do have to be 21 to purchase it though. Going for a drive alone always helps, though I rarely do it. Sometimes it's silent, sometimes I blast the music, sometimes I talk to myself. My other go-to is writing. I'm way better with words than I am with other forms of thought and expression, and keeping a private journal has been really fruitful and calming. Going hard at the gym helps too. I don't do it nearly as often as I should, but semi-regular exercise helps keep my mental illness symptoms, especially the anxiety, easier to manage. And for acute stressors, going hard A, makes me concentrate on one, non-stressy thing. B, makes me feel like I am doing something, and C, tires me out. I mean, not gonna lie, I spent a long time trying to deal with stress with lots of kinds of bad coping mechanisms, substances, games, oversleeping, overworking, risk-taking, etc., and those are still a temptation sometimes. I clearly don't have all my shit figured out. I just am finding I feel a lot better when I am actively involved in managing that stress instead of avoiding it. listen to music. I'm always listening to music and it's great for all sorts of situations and feelings. The other day I bought the Buffy the Vampire Slayer soundtrack and it took me right back to when I first saw it on television. I rewatched it a few years ago and while I only liked about 20% of the episodes, the music was still familiar, and so when I saw the soundtrack in a charity shop for £1 I had to pick it up. I was quite shocked at how many of the songs I knew the words to still, even though I last heard the soundtrack on cassette over 20 years ago. It's been added to my phone, something that doesn't happen to all my albums as not all of them are suitable for listening while I'm out and about. Jeff Wayne's War of the Worlds is one example of a CD I have ripped at home that isn't on my phone. To be critical of the soundtrack, it's the sort of rock where the bands have white lines painted on them. I still reckon Hepburn were told to put on an accent in the studio, and as singing and talking are from different parts of the brain they end up sounding like Drusilla. They certainly don't sound like they are actually from London, even though they are. I'd have to be in a desperate musical to actively see any of the bands live, but for some reason it has a non-nostalgia based endearing quality about it, possibly because it is so middle of the road. It's not shit, and while it's not good, it's not bad enough to be unlistenable. There are artists from the same era I tolerate for the same reason. They aren't crap, but the reason I thought I liked them was because they weren't offensively bad.